AirPods Pro Max, Neot teardown, and MotionVFX acquired. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by Squarespace. Get online, build your site, promote your brand, and get paid all in one place at squarespace.com/MacVoices. Use the offer code MacVoices for 10% off your first website or domain purchase. Today's MacVoices is supported by HelloFresh. Visit hellofresh.com/MacVoices10FM and get 10 free meals. Okay, first story of the night also has to do with a new product that, much to everybody's surprise, nobody saw coming. A new AirPods Max 2. And so Jim is our resident AirPods Max expert here. So I guess, Jim, I've got to ask, does this tempt you?
I should tell you that these are the new ones, but they're not.
How could we tell?
Yeah.
Yeah. How could you tell? Well, you know, if I have to put these in the fridge again, then maybe that would
entice you.
tempt me. At least if these were to break again now, like permanently, I wouldn't feel quite as terrible about getting a new one. Like, at least it would be new.
Well, is anybody else here tempted or have plans
I
for?
bought enough. I'm good.
That's what you always say, David.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
We look forward to your review.
These are the I had the Lightning version, and I got these this past summer, and it was ironic that I got these, and then 2 days later, a friend of mine sent me the Sony WMX, the most recent, the 6s or something. So yeah, am I tempted? Yeah, only because of the H2 chip and being able to do the head acceptance, head move acceptance, so on and so forth. Am I going to be the first one to get one? No, but I'm tempted. I'll admit that.
Okay, more so than with AirPods Pro Web.
You mean?
I'm not taking any more bum raps about buying too much stuff.
And I keep this in my pocket all the time. And sometimes whether I need to take a phone call and they're convenient for that, or sometimes I'm just in a meeting and I want to tune out. Marty, you can relate. And I like them a lot. So, well, I did tell my wife the other night, I gave her my old Lightning Pro Maxes. And then I said, you may be getting some new ones. She may be getting these, and I'll get the Pro Max 2. So but we'll see. I'm not in any hurry to get it. So it may be this summer, could be in the fall. So I'll wait till the hubbub kind of settles down over it. Well, they're not even available right now, from what I understand. Won't be till the end of the month. Yeah. But I will admit that I do like the AirPod Maxes. So just as a over-the-ear headphone, I like them a lot. The only reason why I don't wear them when I'm doing this show is because I like the boom microphone on this Jabra headset. So when I fold it up, it automatically mutes me out. So that's the only reason why I like this. So.
Speaking of tuning out during meetings, you notice that I'm wearing the AirPods Pro 2. I'm just pointing it out. Did anybody get the joke? No, apparently not.
I said not the three.
Right.
I'm sorry, Chuck. I had noise canceling turned on for you. Were you talking?
It's Chuck cancellation. It's not noise cancellation.
Yeah. There we go.
Is that a feature?
That's what the C in Apple C chip stands for.
And I and David both threw the kind of same thing in our chat room. The first thing when I saw this is, let me see if I can do a comparison side by side. And I also saw some commenters say, they had me until they put out the AirPods Pro 3. And if you look at a side-by-side, and it said, why would I take something that does this on a flight that does the same thing? It's AirPods Pro 3 are easier to pack. Basically, you do the side-by-side comparison. I think the lossless audio is one of the few things that AirPods Pro won't do, or the Pro 3s won't do. And I think this felt to me like it was the AirPods Max catching up with the AirPods Pro 3, basically.
I think you're right.
For $300 more.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's the link I threw in there actually is comparing old with new and the AirPods Pro 3.
Right.
That's why.
But you get this.
A bra.
I hate this
think
thing.
The surprise is that they did catch up. I don't think any of us expected. I wasn't expecting that. I just figured the AirPods Max would continue as they were until maybe they were discontinued. Especially since they did come out with the change in port. What was that, about a year ago? So in retrospect, it's like, well, why didn't they upgrade to the H2 chip then?
Well, I think some of these things are interesting because it seems like Apple is in certain product areas is leaving products alone a little bit longer in areas maybe where it makes sense to, and then focuses on updating other things a bit faster. Maybe that's just me justifying the way they do certain things. And there's another one that we'll talk about a little bit later here as we go down the list. But it was great to see. Before I got the pros that are in my ears now, well, the previous generation pros, I was always a can guy, and just tolerated the others to be out and about. But if I really wanted to hear something, I'd put cans on. Now I don't. I have a set of Sony cans that are now years old, and I haven't put them on, and I don't know when. And with now with the threes, the other cans I had were the Bose Quiet Comforts, and now they're on the shelf because these do just as good a job, and I don't have to carry that big. Well, it's not like the bra, but the big case around. So, for what it's worth,
I'll tell you why I'm finally interested in the AirPods Max.
Ooh,
and surprisingly, it's not because of the H2 chip, although that is compelling. It's because when they announced the new models, it made me think about them again, and so now they're fresh in my mind, and I'm thinking, it would be really interesting to hear the audio quality I get off of the new AirPods Max connected to a DAC. Because that would be my real use case for headphones like this. That said, I will probably buy AirPods Pro 3 before I would buy the Max because the overall usefulness of the headphones for me is greater with the AirPods Pro than it would be with the Max.
Do you own AirPods Pro 2? Mac? AirPods 2 Pro 2.
No, I never upgraded to the AirPods Pro 2 because I was still emotionally damaged from Apple's poor customer support with a crackly thing in the AirPods Pro 1.
I think I remember that story.
I could tell you again and rant if you want.
I think we had similar stories.
Please.
We'll move to the next one. That story is in the archives. You can go back and find it.
It's probably in more than one archive.
I think so. Well, I was going to say that, Jeff, but yeah, because I know it was an emotional thing for you. I probably should have brought this one up when we were discussing the Neo, but I was kind of anxious to get to the AirPods Max. But iFixit did a teardown of the Neo, and pretty much, I think the review was favorable to it. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than a lot of the laptops that Apple has brought out. And so I point that out. I don't know that any of you or are going to go poking around inside a MacBook Neo, but it's nice to know that maybe it's a little bit easier to do that if you want to look inside and play. And as I recall, there was at least one YouTube video that a modder had turned a Neo into a 1 terabyte machine, but they don't recommend it. You can, I guess, overclock it, but they don't recommend it. So there are a lot of people that are playing with this machine, but that may be kind of the whole point is, just take it and see what you can make it do, even though it's not built for it.
I saw a modder put in a heat pad into it to see if he could max up performance by putting something. And I'm like, please just give it a week, play with it. Don't break the toaster.
Yeah, but if you're not seeing how far you can get the toast to shoot out, are you really even living, right?
I mean,
aren't you the same guys that were recommending that I take my little globe here and reverse the polarity on it to see if it?
Yeah, good
Yeah,
point.
that's fair.
Good point. Yeah,
That would be fun, though.
Jeff, what struck me about this was that this is the first time in recent memory, and maybe it's just because I've seen some of the articles back to back to back, that people are actually looking at these machines and maybe trying to do something with them that they weren't supposed to be able to or weren't designed to do. Maybe that's because the financial risk is not as much. Or is it just engendering a new spirit? Because Eric, I think you were the one that said, even the users online, have a different feel.
Yeah, there's a Reddit group dedicated to the Neo now.
Mm.
And generally, usually a new machine comes out and there's a group that pops up and people say, hey, I just got this. And then you get 20 people that jump on board to say why it was a bad idea and how you didn't deserve it or whatever. But it's been a supportive group, helpful, a bunch of new users that just haven't dealt with a Mac before, or it's been a really long time, and trading ideas, trading software suggestions, kind of like the old user group days where people would get together once a month and share ideas and be more upbeat. So that's just been, I'm enjoying it while it lasts.
Yeah.
Understood. Let's see. Who is it? Brian. Brian's next.
Yeah, I was just going to comment that with this Neo, that'll be real popular in the education market. I think it's a wise idea for it to be more accessible. And even though it doesn't rate perfectly, just moving in that direction, I think helps with just the probably the greater amount of wear and tear that it'll get compared to other models.
Yeah. Marty.
Yeah, similar to Brian's comment, one of the things I read today was saying, well, it's great it's that available, open, and repairable, because if they're going to sell, a bunch of these to an educational or a school, someone managing them might not be able to do the repairs themselves, but at least they have a item that is easily or could be easily repaired, and that's good for the education market.
Yeah, there's so many things that this brings up. Does this mean that certain repairs might be able to be done in the Apple Store? Because with some of the other models, it was an automatic. We have to send it off to a repair center. So I don't know. Again, wishful thinking on my part, perhaps. But today's Mac Voices is supported by HelloFresh. Nothing hits home like home cooking, and HelloFresh makes it easy to do more of it with recipes that feel good and taste great night after night. Like a lot of you, there are plenty of evenings where the last thing I want to do is figure out what's for dinner. That's where HelloFresh really shines. It takes the stress out of the equation and turns cooking into something that you can actually look forward to. With over 100 recipes to choose from every single week, there's always something new, whether it's comfort food, global flavors, or just something to break you out of the same old routine. And the portions are generous, so everyone leaves the table satisfied. If you're trying to eat a little smarter, HelloFresh has more than 35 high-protein recipes each week, plus Mediterranean and GLP-1 friendly options. And the ingredients? High-quality, sustainable sourced seafood, 100% antibiotic and hormone-free chicken, and fresh seasonal produce. They've even stepped things up with 3 times the seafood options, without an upcharge, and premium selections like grass-fed steak ribeyes when you want to treat yourself or impress someone at the table. Because when dinner tastes this good, nothing else hits home like home cooking. I enjoy HelloFresh. You should too. Go to HelloFresh.com/MacVoices10FM to get 10 free meals plus a free zwilling knife, a $145 value on your third box. Offer valid while supplies last. Free meals applied as a discount on your first box, new subscribers only, and it varies by plan. Thanks to HelloFresh for supporting MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by Squarespace. Ever wonder what people are actually doing when they visit your website? Not just how many visitors you have, but what they're clicking, how long they're staying, and what's making them leave. If you don't know those answers, you're guessing, and guessing isn't a strategy. That's why you need Squarespace. Squarespace doesn't just help you build a beautiful website, it gives you the built-in analytics to understand your audience. You can see which pages perform best, where your traffic comes from, what products are getting attention, and how many visitors move through your site. That means you can make smarter decisions, adjust your content, refine your messaging, and turn casual visitors into loyal customers. And the best part? You don't need to bolt on a third-party tool or wrestle with complicated dashboards. It's all right there, integrated, clean, and easy to use, just like everything else in Squarespace. So whether you're running a business, building a personal brand, or launching your next big idea, don't just put up a website. Understand how it's working for you. Go to squarespace.com/MacVoices for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code MacVoices to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/MacVoices and the code MacVoices to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Squarespace. Build it, understand it, grow it. Thanks to Squarespace for supporting MacVoices. We've been looking current. Now let's look back for just a second. Apple released some new operating system updates for older iPhones and iPads. This is not the first time they've done this in recent weeks. Any opinions on why this is suddenly happening and why we haven't seen it before?
There's still a lot of those phones out there. People just are reluctant to upgrade. And there's enough security risk, I think, is what's really driving it. They don't want to leave the flaws open. If you're going back to like an iPhone 4 or even earlier than that, I don't think they're not messing with those anymore. But there's a lot with 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are still pretty prevalent out there, and I think just Apple wants to keep it secure. And that was really what it was. And I think the last one was because it was going to lose iMessage compatibility that it really needed to be done. So, but yeah, I'm glad to see this. This just shows Apple does care about even older products compared to someone else.
Brian.
Yeah, I was also going to add on to that, thinking, when somebody has a vulnerable product, even if it's an older product, I believe oftentimes that would also cause trouble to people who upgrade their products and have more modern phones, because if it can access, different pieces of data that's on somebody's older device, that piece of data might be contact information or things that are connected to those of us who have more modern devices too. So by helping them, they're helping us.
Jeff?
The cynical part of me says, wow, this sure makes it more difficult to support a forced obsolescence argument against Apple, because here they are rolling out updates for devices that are years out of the support window.
Okay. Marty, are you thinking along the same lines?
Yeah, I go back to that concept that was in, God, what was the movie where he basically said we decide whether or not there's going to be a recall when we figure out the cost of the recall versus the cost of the lawsuits that'll happen if we don't do a recall. I'm wondering if this sort of, we have enough people still using these phones that if we don't plug the holes in it, that we're at risk of litigation or lawsuit or class action stuff on these models because there's enough people still using it versus an older model than that where that risk has dropped off.
I hear where you're both coming from. I guess when I heard this, I was looking more like Apple's trying to preserve the Apple experience, if you will, longer and keep things, to whoever said its point, secure. And to Dave's point, with iMessage compatibility, because that's such an important part of having an iPhone. So I guess maybe the glass is half empty or it's half full, but it's the same glass and the same amount
Either
of
way,
water.
someone's got to clean that glass, Chuck.
Okay. I'm not sure what your point is there, but
I'm just a jerk. That's what it comes down to, Chuck.
Well, sometimes you speak in metaphors, Jeff, and I try to follow
I
you.
often speak in metaphors, and usually even I get lost in them.
Okay, that makes me feel good. Ah, boy. Oh, Brittany's in the chat room. Brittany, good to have you. We miss you. We miss you.
We do.
Can I make just a real quick comment, just because you said Brittany's here? Brittany has always been an advocate for the iPhone Mini. Okay, and seeing this, it amazes me how many people are in that same camp that Brittany is, and why Apple does not have that smaller phone that besides the ones we know. I still think there's a market for the Mini. I don't know if it's that much of a technological challenge. They just downsize the screen and downsize the density on the screen. I'm surprised that they don't do it because there are people like Brittany that want that smaller phone. That's it.
No,
Brittany,
you're right.
miss you. I'm looking at you right here.
Yeah. Yeah,
that sounded creepy.
She knows.
Yeah, things have not changed, Brittany. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Well, a minute ago, I said about Apple kind of leaving products standing, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, an update comes. This, I believe, was easy. I think this was yesterday, or maybe it was today. I lose track. But Apple has acquired MotionVFX, the maker of a number of popular Final Cut Pro plugins, some of which I own. And the articles I read were speculating that this is being driven by video production capabilities for the iPad. But any way you take it, it's good news for Final Cut and for anybody interested in video production on the Apple platforms. But I also think it shows that this is not. Apple may have not paid attention to it like some of us wish they had, but they're still paying attention. So who else? Somebody else uses Final Cut here, don't they?
Use it. I'm trying to learn it.
Okay.
The thing that I saw about this was this could work its way into the Apple Creator Suite, which then that works on the Neo. We've already established that, and it opens it up to a whole educational market and a market that's going to attract students and schools. So it brings Final Cut more into that world.
Good point. Jeff?
I love the idea that that this is being driven by video editing on iPad. However, I think this is more about Apple controlling more of the full product of Final Cut. Apple lost a lot of ground in the high-end video editing space when they had to start from scratch with Final Cut. It gave everyone a really great opportunity to move over to Premiere or DaVinci or whatever. And Apple has done a really great job of bringing Final Cut back up to a legit competitor in this place. But I think they need to keep doing more, because if nothing else, they need to address the perception in the marketplace when they're trying to compete head to head with something like Premiere. And I think this is a really great way to do that. Get this whole package here, roll it into the Final Cut product, and wow, now it's even more capable.
Jeff, the way you said it, and maybe you didn't mean it this way, the way I heard it sounded like appearance as opposed to actual meat. And first of all,
no, that's not how I meant it.
Okay. I wanted to be sure, because with the MotionVFX plugins, I mean, they are not lightweight necessarily,
Right.
and that also just doesn't feel like anything Apple would do. You know, they don't do things just for appearances.
So I chose my words poorly. I don't mean they did this for appearance, but the optics in a competitive market, something like this does matter. And I believe Apple has this because they want to take control over this very powerful tool set for Final Cut, so that they can say, look at the incredibly powerful tool we have. And yeah, I could go on, but that's probably enough.
No, that's good. That's good. And I want to see them take on some of the challengers. Premiere right now seems to be the recognized standard, but there are a lot of other great NOEs out there. DaVinci Resolve is in there, and now that Apple has made Final Cut part of their package, it always seems to make sense to beef it up as well, and have it be taken a little more seriously by a broader range of users. Again, or maybe I'm just doing wishful thinking. Eric, you look like you're thinking studiously about it.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking more along the lines of how do you pay for all of these different things? And Apple seems to have, because if you can't pay for it, it's not sustainable. And Apple's been making a bunch of changes and expanding and buying and software. And it's not like Apple doesn't have money, but they always want to make everything balance. So I've been watching kind of the services revenue. And, even something like rolling out software to older devices so that everybody can continue to participate with messages, expanding Final Cut, adding some plugins, and making the whole thing subscription versus a one-time purchase. All kind of goes into that. Expand services, bring more people into the fold, expand it down into schools so you can train more people on the platform. So, maybe it's kind of a longer cycle revenue thing as well.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see if this is one of many acquisitions or if this is just one, and we're headed to WWDC. So it'll be interesting to see if video editing gets any serious attention with any announcements there. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. you will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.